Hey, let's go exclusive. Mike Fisher on the Dallas Cowboys here in sunny, breezy Frisco. Exclusive time. We've been told that the Cowboys and Dak Prescott are in conversation and that the Cowboys are hopeful that we're going to get somewhere. There's a reason that this is significant as it relates to the calendar, and we're going to break that down for you here as well. Deadlines. I've told you before and over the years, my very first experience, and what I assume to be the very first time that Jerry Jones ever got quoted as saying, "Deadlines make deals." I'll tell you that story momentarily. That's a spring 1990, and I'll tell you why that's important then and why it's important now here momentarily. The breaking news here is the opening of talks between the Cowboys and Dak. Now, I think ESPN is accurate when it says that talks don't mean negotiations necessarily, but it is the beginning of a dance. And this needs to be a 2-week dance as we break down the deadlines for you. We've talked about the salary cap before and the constrictions here, the obstacles. That's part of deadlines make deals. Cowboys are aware of the deadline milestones that are approaching, and here they come quickly. They've opened talks with Dak Prescott's agent, Todd France. And again, a source tells me they're hopeful, that's the word, of sealing a long-term deal, getting a long-term deal done, and avoiding the franchise tag deadline of March 9th. As you know, this has been a 2-year-plus entanglement, a 2-year-plus dance. Agent Todd France has been the driving force in many ways in the delays. You can blame a side if you want to. I'm choosing not to do that. I'm just saying that the agent Todd France has been a driving force and maybe the force that drives this thing back to the bargaining table and back to a long-term deal of some sort, because it's time for him to deliver, not only to his client, but to his new agency. The tag window opens today. But if we end up in that same place, tag Dak, again, turned down as it was turned down last year, as we first reported at that time, 5 years, $175 million. Instead, play on the $31.4 million tag. That was last year. Here comes this year. The two sides could settle on the tag. That's okay. It's not great. Not because of the salary, in my mind, not because 37.7 is too much for the player, but because it's too much in terms of cap clog. And even the tagging of Dak in the next 2 weeks, cap clog. Without an agreement, Prescott will get to the next deadline, March 9th, be given a second tag, this one coming at a cost of $37.7 million. They'll keep negotiating all the way till July 15th, at which point, no more negotiating, you're stuck there. But here's the challenge, and this is why this is breaking news and important news at the moment. In addition to the financial burden of that salary being squeezed into a $180 million cap. Anyway, you slice it. What's the number that you guys keep talking? 20% of the cap. That's burdensome. But in addition to that, there's the clog. Two parties can keep talking July 15th. That's fine. That's another deadline. And Prescott can be locked in at that time. That's fine. But the Cowboys can't afford the placeholder right now. I've got the Cowboys at having $14 million worth of room. That's it. I've seen some other people with other numbers, and if you can demonstrate to me that there's a different number, I'm wide open to it. I've got them at $14 million worth of room, which gives them zero flexibility. It gives them almost zero room as it relates to Prescott and any other business. The Cowboys can and will, we've discussed this, create some restructures, maybe even some drastic goodbyes to help them get to the room. They will also surely consider a doomsday scenario. What if these deadlines come and go and they envision no real progress? They envision no long-term deal. You've got to get ready for a Dak doomsday, which is we got to trade him. Got to trade him before the draft, late April. That's another deadline. You want Dak Prescott to play one more year here and then leave because, as we all know, the third tag is prohibitive. Want him to play one more year and then leave? Or do you want to get something for him before he leaves? Okay? You can do that. You can trade him at any time, but you can't get anything for him in this draft if you don't trade him before this draft, obviously. A divorce isn't the stated goal. We know that. Dak says he wants to be here. And I know, I've heard the whispers. Dak says he wants to be here. I did talk to a close friend of Dak's the other day who says he's prepared to remind him, you know, be careful what you wish for, because there are other places you could go and other places where you can win. There's not other places where you get Pepsi to sign you up and the shoe company to sign you up and the Beats to sign you up and the yogurt to factor that in. This is a friend of Dak's, not taking a side, just saying. My example, of course, is Josh Allen in Buffalo. Josh Allen in Buffalo is just as good as Dak. And he probably got a tire endorsement in Buffalo. He doesn't have Pepsi. So consider that. But a divorce is not the stated goal, and that's one of the reasons why. Cowboys want him to be Cowboy for life. He says the same thing. I believe both sides. But if they don't meet these deadlines, they don't have the room to do other business. If you got a long-term deal with Dak, you could structure that thing, let's say it was 5 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, whatever. You could structure it to make the impact be, for this year, $25 million. Okay? I can get you $25 million of room. You presently have 14. I extend out Amari Cooper. That gets me another 12. I got $26 million of room. Here comes Dak. Now, all I've done there is maintain my roster. I haven't gotten better, but at least I have Dak. I'm also now stuck with Amari Cooper for what amounts to an extra year, but that's okay. We'll live with that. It's not like Amari Cooper's not a Pro Bowl caliber player. And then, after you did those two things, restructure and extend Amari, sign Dak to a long-term deal, okay, now your cap's full again. Now you got to go back to your other business. Restructure Zach, restructure Zeke, restructure Lyle, cut Chris Jones, make a big decision, financial decision on Tyron and Jalen. You know my view on Tyron and Jalen. Yeah, you can get room by saying goodbye to him, but then you got to go find another left tackle and another starting linebacker, and there's a cost that comes with that. But those decisions, some of them can come soon, some can come late, but something's got to give, like now. In 2 weeks, you have to do something to just keep Dak tagged. And starting today, you start negotiations with Dak. So you avoid the tag, get him under contract, buy him some teammates, which is important, and then Dak Prescott is a Cowboy for life, and you can go about your business, building your roster. Without any of that, you can't build a roster. Without any of that, you can't afford a roster. And without moves, you can't even afford Dak. So this is a big deadline day. March 9th is the next big deadline day. And then the NFL draft, big deadline day. All of them stacking, coming at you, like you're speeding down the superhighway and all these signposts are flying by you. Now, Jerry understands these things. Wildcat and Jerry versus Calculator Steven, they both understand these things. I'm going to take you back to Jerry's original thinking on deadlines make deals. I'm sitting in his office. This is the first time we ever met, spring of 1990. And I have the good fortune of sitting in his office. And I don't know if he's just showing off or just teaching me. But he gets Isaac Holt, the cornerback, and the agent for him on the phone. And I'm sitting there listening on speakerphone. It's awesome. Yes, I learned a lot. Sitting there for 3 hours one afternoon. And they're basically got a deal done. I mean, to my ears, here's the years and here's the dollars and this sounds good. Okay, very good. All right, we'll talk later. Thanks, bye, says Jerry. And I said, Mr. Jones, you know, you got the deal. I mean, you got the numbers, you got the years, you got the salary. It sounds like the agent was kind of saying yes, and sounds like Isaac was kind of saying yes. And I said, why didn't you just, it was March or whatever it was, why didn't you just go ahead and do the contract? And he goes, Mr. Mack, deadlines make deals. And 31 years later, he still feels that way? Okay, fine, good. Thanks for the lesson, Jerry. But the deadline to make the deal on Dak starts now. Fish.